Welcome to Order in Chaos, episode 15. Right, today's episode, we are just going to. It's more of a commentary slash hypothesis slash discussion episode where we are discussing the Singaporean domestic environment for businesses to operate in Singapore. Right. Basically, we're going to ask the question: are Singaporean businesses cooked? Because what do we observe in Singapore nowadays? I mean, people also bring it up quite often. Is that Chinese brands are invading the Singaporean market, right? We see Chinese brands filling up shopping malls. A lot of
麻辣香锅
yeah, 麻辣香锅, all the 香香 Hunan cuisine.
the sauerkraut fish.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce sauerkraut fish.
Yeah, and then brands like Luckin, Mixue, even BYD and all of these. Yeah, Singapore is seeing an influx of Chinese companies that are starting up shop in Singapore. And what happens is they are kind of kicking out, or rather taking up opportunities that Singaporean businesses could have taken up. Yeah, and then we will discuss the factors as to why such a phenomenon is happening, and if you're a Singaporean business owner, what you can do instead. We were talking about this because we were thinking, is the Singaporean government incentivizing business owners to go and explore foreign opportunities or expanding into foreign markets through grants and all that? Yeah, because like rent in Singapore is going to like crazy levels to the point where it doesn't even really make sense for a business to operate in Singapore just because the rent cost is so high, manpower cost is so high. But then these Chinese companies, they can afford it when they go into Singapore because what they have is cash. They've already made their pot of gold in the Chinese markets. Yeah. And then so they are further along in a different stage of the life cycle of a business to where they're expanding outwards, they're playing the scaling game. Whereas Singaporean businesses, if they continue to remain in the Singaporean business environment, they are still fighting for survival and it's a different game. So what do you think?
Okay, we must understand that in the Chinese market, right, they have already faced, not currently facing, what we call evolution. Right? So what does evolution means is that they are maintaining the same quality, but it's a race to the bottom for prices. Because it's so competitive, right? Like because we when we talk about Singapore, like local, local F&B, there's 3,000 that have closed down, right? But you must understand in China it's 300,000.
Oh.
So the people that you see that have reached Singapore are actually people that have survived, right? So then to them, Singapore is like a easy mode.
Oh.
So that's the thing, right? Then okay, so then we talk about we as Singaporeans and even from what our minister's point of view, right, is that we need to stay competitive, right? So which means that we must constantly innovate. But I understand for F&B, right, you don't have the time to go and innovate, to go and discover more efficient ways of doing things, or to create a new way to run an F&B. That I understand because most of the F&B owners in Singapore, we are talking about like single store, hawker center, right? But that doesn't mean that the government has to support, because there's only so far the government can support you because of Singapore's free market economics. Right? So that's why they are doing the Market Readiness Assistance grant, right? The MRA grant, to encourage you to expand overseas where you can apply the same principles as the Chinese firms when they came to Singapore. So to you, external markets might be easy more. But yes, you earn lesser, right? But you don't have to necessarily stay in Singapore. You get what I mean? There is this great migration that is occurring, right? Where it's the same as when back in the time with Chinese immigrants from China, they start to venture out, right? It's the same thing again, right? Because it's getting too competitive in the inner market, right? So I think for local F&B in Singapore, right? It's easy for me to say definitely because I've not dealt with F&B. I know how hard it is, considering that rentals are like 20,000-30,000, right, per month, and then you need to put your deposit. Just the store itself is gonna be like 100,000. Cause let's say 2 months deposit with 1 month advance rental.
Wow. Just for one hawker store.
And for whatever store lah, it could be like in a shopping mall, right? 20,000-30,000. And I haven't even mentioned about renovation.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you were to you get second-hand equipment, right? It's still gonna cost you money.
Yeah.
I understand that it's tough, right? And I also understand that for the older generation who are running their businesses, and it's not so easy to pick up things, especially this has been the way that we have been doing it for the past 10-20 years. But at the current pace of advancement, right, it's not just enough to say that I just want to sell, or I just want to be the best at, or in one thing, right? I believe this is one thing that I tell to my staff and also the people around me, where we need to be in a T-shaped kind of knowledge, meaning that you have some, yeah, you have some knowledge of everything, but you just specialize in one thing. But it doesn't mean that you are ignorant of everything else. So in the past, maybe in our parents' generation, right, you can just be good in one thing.
Yeah.
But the times are different, right? But the thing is, for them, they like how we tell our parents, do like real estate stocks. It was so easy. Why didn't you go invest into them? It's how when our future kids will tell us, hey, AI is so easy. Why didn't you go into AI? Why didn't you go into, live selling? Why didn't you go into online distribution? So easy. So the thing is that the learning has improved over time. It just feels like it's very hard for us because we were not born in the era where like what we call native. It's not native to us, right? So now it's the AI native era,
Yeah.
right, where it's being used in schools. But then you realize also that the younger generation needs to be able to think critically. Because at the end of the day, it's the same as like in the past where there were calculators, but why do we still learn basic arithmetic? So that we are able to think critically, so that we know what to input. But instead, now the calculator is the LLM. The calculator itself, right, is you translate it to the language module, right, the LLM. And then our ability to do quick math on our own, right, translates to the current ability to prompt exactly as to certain keywords, certain way of knowing the right words to put inside when you prompt
To get
right?
the outcome that you want.
Yeah, correct. Back to the F&B scene, right? I understand that it's going to be hard for locals, and that's why the government is trying to support lah. But at the same time, that we cannot protect our own economy to the extent where it becomes protectionism, right? So the problem that is mostly faced by vendors that are selling Chinese food, because there is a retail mix, ma. You can't have all Chinese food.
Oh yeah.
And but the Chinese brands comes in, then you yourself cannot sell Chinese food anymore. The way to think is whether you are able to change a different model. Are you able to move to a centralized kitchen? Are you able to do more online fulfillment or delivery fulfillment? I think that's a few things that when you need a professional to come in to help you lah. Because you have already the era of simply just doing the same thing over and over again every single day has evolved, ma. Right? We must evolve with the times as well. So one model that's very successful in Singapore, subscription model. Right, you
For
food, F&B, buy food, then after that they ask you whether you want to be a member, and then when you be a member, they give you like 150% or to 200% of what you top up to buy the food, right?
The membership.
Yeah.
Okay, so you accumulate points or
Like
that
you
kind of model.
yeah, you must be able to play this game more. Like this game has been in China for a long time. That's why they are able to grow that fast. And the reason why the landlords cannot reduce rental, right, is because if they reduce, let's say if you think from the property developer's point of view, if they reduce rental, it means that the total value of the revenue, I mean the rental yield of the property decreases. When rental yield decreases, right, then they are unable to refinance the game that they're playing. That's why they rather leave the units empty.
Oh.
The rental yield per unit is still stay the same. I think that's one thing that we have to take in consideration. And second thing is for Chinese first, we can say that they have the backing from like their parent company. The thing is they can take a loss. Reason is because the other stores can cover their losses here.
Yeah.
And together as a unit, they can pitch to more investors saying that we now have 400 stores, we now have 500 stores, right?
So in this case, their objective is bargaining power. What they're playing for is bargaining power with like suppliers or they're not fighting for their survival. Yeah.
So of course, then we say like not everyone is able to reach that stage. Not everyone has aspirations to be there. Then think beyond lah. Like what we are doing here, right? We went beyond Singapore. We are currently in Thailand, right? I think that's one thing that we have to
Open ourselves up.
yeah, just say that the government should be doing something. What are you currently doing to improve your situation?
Yeah.
Right? Of course, when we moved here, we had to take a pay cut. Obviously, right? We cannot be expecting the same salary that we are receiving in Singapore.
Yeah.
But is that something we're willing to? We're willing to try out? Yes. One thing I feel that a lot of things like here is all excuses. Like it's perceived barriers. Like it's just imaginary barriers lah.
They don't really exist, but you think that they do. You name it as one of
Your obstacles.
Yeah.
Right? So for example, oh my family is in Singapore, or my roots are in Singapore, I cannot move out. Well, it's too tough I to go out. Then I was like, then how did our forefathers did it? They moved out of China. So I don't know. That's just the way that I have lived. Right? I've done it. I've experienced it. So of course I went through the entire process. Right? But then for people who are cannot, like, because I have my car loans, I have my HDB finance, you can sell all of that, man. Just saying lah.
So you think that these are only obstructions because people let them be?
Yeah, so it's just your own perception. And of course, you can tell me, oh, my kids, Singapore's education system, my kids have to study here. If they go overseas, where do they study? All that kind of thing, right? Is there a correlation between the primary, secondary school and how successful the kid become in the future? Not really.
Not really.
Because your kid will never be smarter than AI. Your child will never be smarter than AI, let's be real. Right? So, what differentiates between, like, by modern definition of success and someone who is just drifting through life, right, is the certain characteristics like grit, right, resilience, and that can be developed anywhere. I am a parent myself, so we as parents, we try to give to our kids the best that we can, right? But is it objectively the best, or is it subjectively the best? I think that's one thing that we need to internalize ourselves, right? Back to the local F&B, right? Like I mentioned, I understand it's tough to be in the F&B field, and of course for me, I do appreciate like our local F&B, because that's where our local flavors are, right? But the thing is, local flavors will evolve with time. Like, if it's, let's say, 50 years from now, right, the Singapore food culture that you know today might not be the Singapore food culture that you know in 50 years, right? So we do try to preserve it, but then you must understand that there will always be someone that is doing it better than you, right? Let's just say chili crab, right, or chicken rice. If the chicken rice was truly good, everyone will be flocking to the store, right? Like Tian, and you don't see like Tian struggling because it's good, lah.
Because they are the top
You get what I mean?
chicken rice.
So, and then people will always get their fix somewhere, mah. They wouldn't be. It's just whether you have a variety of stores offering the same thing. It's the same principle. What the top 20% will always not be struggling, lah, of every
Yeah.
food. You get what I mean? Even the same exact dish. We are not talking about like different dish, different changing palettes, right? We talk about exact dish, right? Your people are going to your direct competitors. Then it's something to do with you, lah. Or you can tell me that, oh no, I don't have that much publicity. Then how did they get that level of publicity?
Yeah.
Did they do anything different? If I remember, Tian was just a hawker store, right?
I think they started from there.
Are they still a hawker store?
I don't know. It's been a while.
Yeah. So then they also focus on their food. That's my knowledge of them, lah. Right? But then the matter of you, lah. I believe this is what I strongly believe, is that there will always be a competitor who is doing the exact same thing but doing it better, and then not complaining, not struggling. So it means that they are doing something different from you that is enabling them to thrive. And if you are not thriving, you need to look internally to see, like, is it a problem to do with the system? Is it a problem to do with the flavor profile? It wasn't. You have to tweak the flavor profile a bit. If you tell me the same category is struggling across board, then it's changing palettes. Changing palettes, then it means that you also became irrelevant. You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Right? Then if you tell me that only you are struggling, your competitor is thriving, then it means
Then
that
that's a different.
that's your problem
different
already.
issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's we have to look inwards. Of course, it's easy for me to say, having not operated at again, right? Who am I to say?
What do you know about?
What do I know about F&B when I have not operated at F&B?
Yeah.
I do agree that I'm not aware of the intricacies of the F&B field, right? But it's either we look inwards or we move outwards. There's only two options.
Yeah. Sometimes maybe the decision to move outwards is a result after we look inwards.
Yeah.
So the bottom line to conclude is basically the environment is gonna change.
Yeah.
Yeah, the environment will change. The environment is always changing. But then you think the Singaporean government doesn't know this? They probably know this,
Yeah.
which is why they put in place things like, this kind of grants or ways to incentivize business
GST
owners.
voucher.
Yeah, all these kind of like things for people to. These are options, are they like throwing like lifelines to businesses or like hinting them?
Yeah, but they can't straight up give
Yeah,
you
or like,
like
hey, the Singapore market is cooked, man. Chinese businesses are taking over Singapore. Y'all better get out.
Yeah, they can't be straightforward. They have to put in options, but at the same time, as business owners ourselves, we need to be aware of what opportunities are out there for us to tap on.
Yeah.
Right? And of course, government can only assist you. We always say, oh, the government hasn't been doing much, all that kind of thing. No, they have been doing it. It's just that you are not aware of what are they doing. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Back to it, whether you are constantly, no matter, of course, it's easy for me to say when I'm 31, right? And I know that there are business owners that are like 50s, 60s, right? And I still need to learn the internet. I still need to research. I still need to find opportunities. Still need to be hungry. I don't have the hunger mindset, right? So but there was this one recruiter online that got flamed by Singaporeans for saying that Singaporeans don't have they are not as hungry as the foreign counterparts. And people were saying that because the foreign counterparts, when you send the money back, how much is the exchange rate, all that kind of stuff, right? Then why can you not be the foreign counterpart? So I think that's one thing that we need to take into consideration. But of course, for the older folks, that's why I mentioned it's harder, right? You thought that you could retire, you have certain expectations with regards to your retirement, but then retirement was a seed that you planted 30 years, 20 years back. Right? If you're not able to retire now, it means that there were some decisions that you didn't make that were quite prudent, right? To accumulate enough investments to feed you, to generate enough dividends, capital appreciation to last you throughout your lifetime. If not, then will you be open to considering expanding overseas, relocating overseas? I mean, like, there's nothing inherently wrong with, Singaporeans cannot live in Singapore, they have to move out. No, there's nothing inherently wrong with that, right? Let's say if you look at other countries, a lot of their youths are moving overseas, like relocating overseas in search of better prospect, right? I mean, I've actually met older Singaporeans that mentioned that no, you will understand when you get older of the healthcare facilities available in Singapore, that kind of thing. I do understand that for the mass market wise, it's definitely access is definitely like there lah, right? You get international quality supposedly, right? Private quality at local government hospital rates, right? But even the government rates are ridiculous. You get what I mean? Compared to, let's say, if you just stay in Thailand, you go.
Oh yeah.
You know. Okay, tell me that the surgeons are better, but for me, it's maybe 30 years down the road, I'll be concerned about that lah. But then, I guess even if you get better hospital treatment, do you envision yourself staying in the hospital for like a long time? No, what?
Yeah.
It's about whether you just see it as like a short period of time, like 50 years, 70, 80 years of your life, then your hospital care lah. No. Right? Why don't you think about the rest of your life? I think that's one thing a lot of Singaporeans need to reconsider.
So the bottom line is still to just stay adaptable and then look at the market, look at what's going on, and then try to evaluate if your best options might be
To look inward or to move outward.
That's good enough.
For very simplicity's sake, it's either you look inward or you move forward, or you look inward to move forward.
Yeah. Or if don't do both and then just get cooked, man. Right, so we come to the end of episode 15 of Order in Chaos. If you like what you hear, let us know. Like, comment, share, subscribe. See you next time. Bye.